your neighbors, your community, yet they harbored secrets. You see them every day. You believe you know them. You trust the quiet rhythm of your suburban life. The manicured lawns, the white picket fences create an illusion of safety. But what if that illusion is just a curtain? What if behind it something truly dark is growing? This is a story about that very curtain being torn down. In the town of Meadow Creek, these pillars of a peaceful community seemed strong. It was a place people moved to for a better life, the embodiment of the suburban dream. But dreams can sometimes turn into nightmares. They saw the community of light as just another group of friendly, if slightly eccentric, neighbors. They were always smiling, always helpful, by all accounts, model citizens. Their leader, Elias Thorne, was the heart of it all. A retired professor, he said, seeking a more meaningful life. It reminds us that evil does not always announce itself with thunder. Sometimes it arrives with a friendly smile and a freshly baked pie. But the perfect facade eventually shows cracks. Their smiles, though constant, rarely seem to reach their eyes. A neighbor once saw one of the younger members alone. She looked nervous, almost frightened. It was a fleeting moment, but it was a crack. The crying stopped abruptly. Just a sudden, unnerving silence. Rumors began to circulate, strange cars that would arrive and depart in the dead of night. They stood perfectly still. They looked like statues, faces blank and expressionless. And then there were the midnight chants, a deep, resonant drone that was both hypnotic and deeply unsettling. Inside, Thorne called it vibrational alignment. In reality, it was an exercise in control and sleep deprivation, breaking down their mental defenses. He taught that one must be purged. These ceremonies were grueling ordeals designed to break a person down completely. Their politeness was not happiness but conditioning and fear. They were prisoners in a psychological cage. The first disappearance was so quiet, almost no one noticed. His name was David. The truth was, David had begun to question Thorne's teachings. He became a dissident, a threat to Thorne's authority. Thorne announced David had been chosen for a spiritual retreat. He was never seen again. A human being was erased. The second disappearance was more noticeable. The Millers, the community's token perfect family. Then overnight they were gone. It was too clean, too sudden, as if the family had been plucked from the face of the earth. The reality was that Susan Miller had been planning to leave the cult, but Thorne, with his network of informants, discovered her plan. The truth had to come from within. It came in the form of a young woman named Sarah. She knew she had to get out. It was a tiny crack in the prison's walls, the only chance she knew she would get. She ran. She ran towards the unknown, away from the only world she had known for 3 years. She had no phone, no money, no identification. She had one thing, a memorized phone number, a lifeline. The first breath of true freedom was a ragged, sobbing gasp in her sister's arms. In the safety of her sister's home, the story tumbled out, a story not of enlightenment but of absolute and terrifying control. Sarah's testimony was the key. Elias Thorne's real name was Martin Peters, a con man with a history of abuse allegations. What was once a collection of vague suspicions became a major criminal investigation. Armed with a search warrant, the police moved in. The curtain was finally being torn down for the whole neighborhood to see. They found a scene that was both ordinary and deeply disturbing. He was arrested without incident. his charismatic facade holding until the very end. Evidence on Peter's computer led authorities to a remote piece of land. There they found the remains of David, the young man who dared to ask questions. In the aftermath, a profound sense of shock settled over Meadow Creek. The trust that had been the bedrock of their community was shattered. For the former members, the road to recovery was long. They had to relearn how to think for themselves and how to trust other people again. The town of Meadow Creek tried to move on, but a scar had been left on the town's collective psyche. The story of Meadow Creek is a vital lesson. Today's cult can live right next door. It uses the camouflage of normalcy as its most effective shield. How many other Elias Thorns are out there operating in other quiet neighborhoods under different names? It forces us to ask ourselves, how well do we really know the people we live beside? Do you believe cults can thrive unnoticed? Tell us your thoughts.